So you decided to make sort of coaching squash your career, and you moved to California to pursue your master's. Did that fuel your desire to be a college coach of squash?
Yeah, I originally went to get a master's in sport management because I had thought at the time that I knew that I wanted to work in collegiate athletics, and I didn't really know in what capacity. And so that's when I originally wanted, what I had planned when I got the degree. And one of the classes we took at sport management degree was specifically collegiate coaching and, collegiate athletics. That's when I really learned what athletic departments and subcommittees and all the intricacies of the structure of an athletic department at a college. That's when I really learned what it entailed, and so I had a better understanding of that. And I knew that I loved coaching, and I knew that I loved squash. But I think it was a good way for me to really see that college coaching would be the next step if I wanted to work in an athletic department from on the administrative side. Hasn't necessarily still continued to be my goal, because I really have fallen in love with college coaching. But it was kind of fortuitous how that came about.
And speaking of your college coaching, what is your coaching philosophy?
Everything that I teach and think about and am motivated by is building character in people. So squash is just the vehicle that is used that I use to do that. But that is what I personally am most passionate about, building character within a group, and how to be a productive member of a group and have a fulfilling experience, and being and understanding how the individual plays such a role in the group's outcome. Building character and managing behavior is one of the biggest aspects of kind of how I form practices and those kinds of things. So I think, I guess as far as a philosophy would go, would definitely be building character for personal growth, and also just really maintaining and loving the game. Because I think you can get caught up in junior squash and in college squash and beyond. You can get caught up in other things. And in my mind, you should be playing because you love the game, and it's so, you love it and you hate it all at the same time. And it's complicated and addicting because of those things. So I try to fuel that as well, loving the game constantly, and building a group that really understands how important your personal development is, especially because what I find important in my job is I'd like to think that I'm preparing students for life. So, we're playing squash, and that's important, and winning is important, but I'd hope that the lessons I give or try to, impart are helping students after they graduate make it in the real world, because, it's a little different out there from college, so.
It's a heroic effort.
I'm trying.
So what does winning the Clarence C. Chaffee Award for Sportsmanship in 2015-16 mean to your program and to you?
It was such an honor to get that. I honestly, it was the girls who got the award. They were such a great group, and I think that that made it easier for everyone. The group of women on that team, they really cared about getting better and having a respectful relationship with their opponent, even in the most difficult moments in matches. It wasn't a push and pull for me. They adopted that kind of philosophy, and a lot of those players, and still, not that specific year necessarily, it's not specific to that year. I really do feel that the men's and women's teams at Haverford find those things, find sportsmanship and, courteousness and all of that really important. We were honored that year, but I think a lot of people, played a role in that, in getting that.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Do you have any advice for juniors who want to play on the collegiate level?
Juniors should really understand or try to think about what's important to them as far as what kind of program they're looking for. There's so many different kinds of programs out there. Playing the game and really focusing on getting better and, the aspects of competing that you love. If you're introspective about that, you can really find a place that has a college that has the same values that you do. Because again, every college has a different identity and different values. And so a junior who's if they're looking to find a college team, I think that's one of the best things to do. Meet the players on the team and get to know the coach as best you can and see what kind of lines up with what makes you tick.
Can a player walk on to a college team?
Yeah, I think it depends on the school, and it depends on college. It depends on the actual coach, if they want to have a specific number of players on the team. If it might depend on the particular year. We might have a smaller team or a larger team, and so a walk-on might be more of a possibility when there's a smaller team. I'll just speak for Haverford because that's the school that I would know about. It depends on the year, and I think any school would be interested in players who could really make an impact if they didn't necessarily go through the recruiting process. I don't think that's necessarily a negative, but I think it depends on the school and what they're looking for.
In your eyes, what combination of hard work and natural talent do you see that a player needs to succeed at the highest levels of junior squash or collegiate squash?
Talent maybe separates you from the pack initially, and that's important and that's a great asset to have, but a lot of times when you go to college, a lot of people are talented there. And so the work ethic and the focus and determination really becomes what separates people.
Going off of that, is there anything that a typical college player is missing when they walk onto campus for the team in terms of skills or work ethic or fitness or something?
Yeah, I think generally, it depends on different players, but I think generally a lot of times it's strength. At Haverford, at least, I know a lot of other collegiate athletic programs have this too. We have a strength and conditioning program, and we have strength and conditioning staff members who set up a year-round program that builds speed, agility, quickness, and strength. And so that might be something that you see right away coming from juniors going to collegiate squash is not necessarily size, but strength and speed, because they just haven't had those resources necessarily. So that might be one. And also I think playing collegiate squash, once you have a year of that under your belt, I think you have like a little bit more of an understanding of what it really takes. It's not as simple as I think your game becomes a lot more multi-dimensional once you've played a year of squash, because you might be playing a 21-year-old at 18, right, as opposed to playing a 15-year-old when you're in U17s or something. So I think that might be one thing. I'm a believer that experience plays a big role in edging at things out too. So not having that college experience under your belt yet could play a role. Again, that's not exclusive to everyone, but those might be some of the initial things.
So like particularly changing your game to play a certain type of player or focusing on different things, you say is more emphasized in college squash?
I don't know. I think it depends on the program, right? It really depends on what the coach is focusing on and what happens in practices. I would say that about our program. Yeah, we talk a lot about the cerebral part of the game and your shot selection and your choices and if they were good ones or not. But yeah, that definitely is a factor too.